Hey y'all, Bill Quirk with Shoot GTR and the Defensive Training Group, continuing our series of videos in the life safety rules. So I call them life safety rules because they apply any and every time you handle the gun, regardless of where you are, whether you're on the range, at home, on the street, in the gun store, it does not matter. These rules are going to apply. Here is rule number 3. Rule number 3 is the one of the classic versions that I dislike the classic version the most. The classic version is keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. And it's way too vague, does not nearly cover nearly enough of the information that we're trying to impart. One of the other big problems with that version of rule number 3 is it tells you what not to do, but it doesn't tell you what to do. And that can set us up for failure. So this is that training pistol that I showed you in the first video. Not a live pistol. Got your holes drilled in the barrel, barrel's plugged front to rear, there's no port for a firing pin, dummy ammunition. This is what I'll be doing my demonstrations with. So if I tell you to keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot, and I stop there, well, that begs the question. All right, so I keep it off the trigger, but where do I put it? And you'll see this. I have seen major firearms manufacturers do promotional shots and videos for safety, and they'll say, rule number 3, keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. This is not acceptable. Okay, on the trigger guard down here, this is not acceptable. Pointing it on your index finger, on the tip of your index finger, and this is taught by some instructors as a register position, as a place to stage your trigger finger. This is not acceptable, the way I teach it, okay? Why are these things not acceptable? Why is on the trigger not acceptable? Well, your hands are designed to grasp, to hold on to stuff. And the natural condition of your hands is not this, it's this. As they relax, they want to curl. On top of that, we all have these natural hardwired reflexive motions. You have startle response. You're scared, your hands will come up to defend yourself and they'll start to contract a claw. You have stumble response. You're walking along and you trip. Your hands will shoot out to stop your fall, even if nothing's around you. And they'll be trying to grab at stuff because you're instinctually trying to stop yourself from falling. You have sympathetic squeeze or inner limb connection as you grab something. So say that you're falling and there's a chair or a post. You grab that post. As this hand contracts, this hand will want to help, even if it's not physically close. You can test that. This is something that I thought everybody did in elementary school, but apparently not. But we did in my school. Take a Dixie cup, a paper cup full of water, and a piece of paper, and try to crumple this without spilling the water. And it's very difficult because as you're crumpling, this hand wants to help, even if they're not physically close. So with all of those things, if your finger is on the trigger or can find the trigger, it is entirely possible that you can generate enough pressure to discharge a round without intending to do so, especially if you're running one of these modern semi-automatic pistols that don't have a manual safety, a Glock, a Smith & Wesson M&P, or anything along those lines. You can get M&Ps with manual safeties, but most of them don't have that. Walther PDPs, most of your striker-fired pistols generally do not come with a manual safety, and if your finger can find that trigger, you can easily generate enough pressure to discharge a round, even if you don't intend to do so. Another place that might fall in, and I always want to point this out, is if you ever drop a gun, your clutch response, we don't catch stuff like this, we catch stuff like this. Our fingers want to be engaged. If you ever drop particularly a handgun, good modern handguns are designed to be drop safe. Okay, and yes, I'm sure you can think of some exceptions out there, but for the most part, good modern handguns are designed to be drop safe. They're set up so that if you drop them, they're not going to discharge. What we see, though, is as people try to catch guns as they're dropping it, fingers go places, and we end up pressing that trigger, and we cause the problem. If we had just let the gun go, it wouldn't have been an issue, but we caused a problem by trying to catch it, and then we ended up pressing the trigger. So be mindful if you ever drop a gun, handgun, just let it go, okay? So back to what we're talking about with our finger. So we now know why we don't want our finger to be on the trigger or in one of those positions that I talked about. So this can find the trigger. This can find the trigger. This one, because the energy is going through your fingertip, it can pop down. If it slips off, it can pop in and find that trigger. And we've seen that happen. We've seen that happen with certain holsters where this it kind of encourages this to happen. So what do I want you to do? I want you to keep your finger off of the trigger, straight on the frame, firmly pressed in with metal or plastic underneath it. Off the trigger, straight in the frame, firmly pressed in with metal or plastic underneath it. Until you're ready to shoot, we're going to discuss that in a second. I want it firmly pressed in but flat, because now the force is distributed across the entire finger as opposed to one specific point like this. So it's spread out across your entire finger. I do want it firm because if it was relaxed, it would start trying to curve down like this. So by having these muscles and tendons and ligaments firing, you remember, hey, this is here for a reason. I want to keep it here. As far as where, the seam between the slide and the frame, that's a good spot. In the case of the Glock, you've got a little bit of a lip there that you can kind of rest it on. So that's a good spot. For righties, some people will actually get as high as they can and actually engage the cutout for the ejection port. With a lefty, you can't really do that. But definitely have it up here, not right down here. You want to have it up firmly anchored on the frame, slide somewhere in that area, metal or plastic underneath it. So we're going to maintain this position until we're ready to shoot. Very vague. What does that mean? For us, we're going to have two specific conditions that have to simultaneously be met. So this is an and, not an or. It's not one or the other, it's both. So the first condition, the gun has broken that 90-degree plane and is pointed in the direction of your target. So it's not just it's come up in the direction of your target. So that's the first one. You've got to be pointed in the direction of your target. Not necessarily on your sights, but it's got to have broken that plane and be pointed in that direction. And there's some nuances there that I'm not going to get into for this video, but things that I talk about in class and in lessons and whatnot. So that's your first condition. It's broken the plane, pointed in the direction of your target. The second one is that you've made a conscious decision to fire. And this is the cornerstone of my entire safety brief, the conscious decision. You have to stay in control of this thing. You are responsible for whatever comes out of that muzzle. And once it leaves the muzzle, you cannot take it back. Whatever it hits, you're responsible for. You own that, so to speak. So we need to stay in control of this thing at all times. I talked about that extensively in rule number 1. You are the consciousness controlling this thing. So your two conditions, you've come up, you're pointed in the direction of your target, and you've made a conscious decision to fire. The conscious decision will be based on the last rule, rule number 4. We're going to do that one next.